Welcome to Nerd Cave Discussions. I am one of your hosts, Zach Dykes, joined along with Trey Price, where he is always right, and the man of many names and crop top polos, Derek Daniel. Guys, welcome to the show. How y'all doing?
Pretty good, man. Ready to get talking about this episode because a lot of intriguing stuff.
A lot of intriguing stuff. Trey, what about you?
Same. I'm very excited. I came home from work and watched it immediately because I wasn't watching it at 6 a.m. this morning when I got up. And it was very quick. I didn't even check the time. And then I'm just watching it. I'm like, yeah, it's over.
But
yeah, I was like,
Hey man, every time with every episode that passed, that theme slaps harder for me.
It does, man. It's really dope.
I'm pretty sure the main actor, his name totally is
Boba Morrison.
Yeah, Boba Fett he sings in the song. I'm pretty sure he sings in this because it sounds like his voice.
Yeah,
it does, yeah.
But it's neither here nor there. This episode is brought to you by, oh my gosh, it's a new sponsor, Epic Games and Patreon.
What?
Do you love video games and supporting the Nerd Cave? I hope that was a yes.
Of course.
Do you fancy yourself a Fortnite champion or love playing Rocket League? If none of those are your things either, and you still like video games, you can use creator code NERDCAVE, all one word, at checkout to support us over on the Epic Game Store. Every purchase, no extra charge, goes towards us. Just pop it in there when you're checking out NERDCAVE, one word. It could be lowercase or uppercase, it doesn't matter. And a little bit of that goes towards helping the Nerd Cave keep the lights on. So go
and I know there's PC players in our group, so y'all lying if you telling me different.
Yeah, and I know people play Fortnite. So if you know the people that play Fortnite and they need that V-Bucks, hook them up with some.
Now, is there any capital letters or is it all lowercase?
It can be either.
Oh, okay, good.
All lower.
Are those Fortnite players older than 12?
Hey, that's fine. That's fine. They can be 10, they can be 12, they can be 3,000. As long as they use Nerd Cave at checkout with their Epic creator code, they'll be supporting the Nerd Cave. Now, you can become part of the ship, part of the exclusive crew by going over to patreon.com/nerdcave, just like our wonderful crew members, Brandon, the Salty Santa, Hicks, Richard Newell, Daniel Sanford, Rushing Waters Yoga, the Conductor, Marilyn James, Martin Sager, and Brittany, the Granny Bee, Harrison.
Woo, Granny Bee.
I
like hyping up Granny Bee.
I know. You came in there, you just like, hi. I appreciate it. This is the Nerd Cave discussion where each and every week, it's not really every week, but each and every
whenever
week,
there's a show to discuss.
When we discuss it, we discuss the latest and greatest shows that you need to know. You can watch us live over on twitch.tv/NerdCave Network, or you can watch us over on the YouTubes, youtube.com/NerdCave Network. Check out all the latest and greatest episodes of this show. Derek, Trey, are y'all ready?
I was I was cloned ready.
Oh. Were you one of them Bad Batch?
I wish.
Oh, God.
I wish I was that cool. Let's be honest.
I'm definitely the Bad Batch for sure.
I'm the hunchback janitor.
You're 99. You're 99.
Support you boys in what you're doing.
You're 99. Well, in this episode, we learn the only thing hotter than the twin suns is Boba in a space diaper, and that Rancors need love too.
Yes.
Episode name is Streets of Mos Espa, which it lives up to those things. And let's get into it, guys.
For good and for bad.
Yes. Yeah. For good and for bad. So I kind of broke this down in the docs and everything. We can give just kind of our overview, and then we can break into the episode overall. Derek, what is your overall thoughts of Streets of Mos Espa?
So when it started, I was like, okay, it has this little minor conflict and that's how it starts the show. And I'm like, okay, this feels like it's going to be a throwaway episode. It's all going to just be, and it's going to have this big twist at the end that's going to make you go, oh, all right, got to tune in next week. But the overall episode is bad. But then about halfway through, what I wanted to happen from last week's episode happened, and it made it all seem like, okay, now this is actually a pretty decent episode despite how it ended.
Okay. Trey, what about you?
I mentioned in the pre-show that I didn't even check the time frame. I didn't realize it was only like a 30-minute episode. So I just sit down and I'm watching it and I'm just trucking along and I'm like I'm beer deep in it and I'm loving it, and then boom, it's over and I'm like, whoa. But I think even though this may be the shortest episode we've ever gotten, I think it's probably one of the most important.
It was definitely building stuff. I'll agree with you for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Amy writes in and says, space diaper. For me, quick overview. This is one of the probably weakest episodes out of the whole series so far. It feels like it was setting up a lot of things, and I think that's where Trey's getting the most important from. It's kind of like the hinge to the rest of the show. For me, this is probably the worst Star Wars episode that they've made out of Mandalorian and
you mean live action episode?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Out of Mandalorian and Boba Fett, this is probably the worst, in my opinion.
Got everything you love in it, though.
No.
Yes, it
Rancor
does.
love and space diapers.
Yeah, I mean that and the slaughter of innocents. I mean,
The only thing was missing was children dying.
They did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't tell me, Zach, that your inner Sith Lord was like, "Yes, do it."
See, the intro was I literally wrote first was nothing's hotter than bodies burning, but I rewrote that for the space diaper because it was a better joke, and I was like, that's a little bit dark, so
Yep. Hey man, I mean, if you're into Tusken Raiders, they are scorching anyway.
Whoa.
Amy points this out, and it's because of the Power Ranger motorcycle gang that works for him.
I will say, not my favorite. Not my favorite cronies. I was like, really?
Yeah.
These look like Teen Titan throwaways. Like, what are we doing here?
So let's get.
Well, it didn't help that we'll get into it later.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the only thing it didn't help that the main guy looked like Cyborg, the guy who plays Cyborg from Doom Patrol.
Yes, very much so.
Yeah. So let's get into it. Here's the breakdown. We were greeted by a water merchant that comes to Boba and literally lays down. It's like, no one respects you. And it's like, it's like everybody's been thinking it. It's like someone finally just said it like to his face and everything. The guy that plays this part, I love. Every time I see him, I always love seeing him in a show. Like,
he's a great actor. Like, I had one of those moments where I'm like, oh, that guy.
yeah, exactly. So, he's like, there's been these street gang, he made them sound like way worse. The street gang, a bunch of cyborgs putting the robot parts on them, it felt like Cyberpunk 2077, like infiltrated Star Wars, but they've been stealing water. So Boba Fett, rolls up into Mos Espa and meets this street gang and everything, and it's a bunch of like English mod, you know what I'm talking about, like Mighty Boosh, like teenagers, like that are in Star Wars, and I'm like, okay, this is really weird, like the Mighty Boosh Power Rangers like combo that like we got going on here, but
where's my old Greg?
Yeah, I'm old Greg. No, that comes later. That like hairy creature that's running towards the ship, like at the end of the episode. But we see Boba Fett do something impressive here because he could have easily like just whipped out the gun and started gunslinging.
Yeah.
But what he did here was actually pretty smart. He needs people. He needs to recruit. He needs people. So he recruits this gang. So what did y'all think about these first few scenes?
You can go ahead, Trey.
Well, I'm with you. I like the guy that played the watermonger, which I kind of was like, only in Star Wars can you have someone that actually makes his living selling water, you know?
Yeah.
And one of the little lines that it was very quick and they gloss over it real quick, but it's sort of like become a running gag. Like we had that one episode where the Tuscans tell Boba about how Tatooine used to be covered in water, and then the watermongers, well, actually, there used to be water everywhere, and Boba's like,
I grew up on a water planet.
Do not recite the deep magic to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's and so it's like this one thing that we don't talk about. It's like we don't talk about Bruno, and we don't talk about the fact that Tatooine used to be covered in water. But yeah, I like how he kind of almost comes in and he's like, "Oh, hey, D&D style quest giver.
Yeah,
I have troubles."
Right, right, and it goes back to my initial thoughts. It's like, all right, this watermonger is like having trouble with these street punks. I'm like, all right, this is gonna feel like a throwaway episode, and for the first part, it did like you said, like the cyberpunk street kids that were stealing water. And you know what's interesting is when he comes in there and he actually talks with them. Like he doesn't, like you said, he doesn't come there just flinging his blaster going pew pew.
Yeah.
And he goes from boomer, like an old boomer, to basically like, all right, kids, what's the real issue? Oh, so he's the jerk. Got it. You know what? Come work for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a good crime lord flex when he's like, "What do they owe you?" And he's like, 13,000 credits. And he's like, "Here's 50. Shut up."
Yeah. He's like, but take it.
He's like, he's like, go
take it and walk away.
He's like, or move to Mos Eisley.
Yeah,
it's like
everyone's like, "Ugh."
It's like, I don't want to go there. I overall, I think it's strong scenes, but the characters of the street gang just do not fit within the Star Wars universe.
No, I agree.
They definitely feel out of place.
Now, I will say this: if this street gang was on Coruscant, it would work. On Tatooine, it doesn't work. It doesn't work at all.
They very much give you a Coruscant like refugee vibe. It's weird. It's like we're here because we have to be.
Yeah. It's like we're being forced. Nate writes in, says, "Man, that thing's all up in my grill."
That's what he said.
Yep, that's what he said. He said the color bikes would be nice to have, but they don't work in the Star Wars universe, especially not with the Browns of Tatooine. They're very bright and all of that. They got a bunch of they do feel like they're really based off of a set of bikes that were like in the 60s, like the English would use and everything. It's definitely not the best. Amy says, I mean, I want one of those colored bikes, but woof.
Yeah, you can tell they don't go bullseyeing womp rats in them for sure.
No.
They're just like, ugh.
They probably hate sand more than Anakin does. Let's just be honest. Let's be honest.
Of course, and it gets in everything.
Yeah. In an urban setting, that would have worked. Yeah, 100% agree. I 100% agree with you there, Amy. My love of my life. It's weird to say Amy. I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
Like, it's baby. Baby. Anyway, Trey, take us through the flashback that we go through in this episode.
All right, so the flashback was a good balance to last week, because we talked about last week how it was 2/3 flashback, and we were like, "Oh, please don't, please don't make this a habit."
Yes.
And this week they didn't. It was very quick.
Goodness.
Boba Fett, he's got his Tusken Raider outfit on, and he rides a bantha into town like a BA. Let's be honest. I mean, you gotta roll up in some patience if you ride in a bantha, because they don't move fast.
Yeah.
At the end, he even ditches it and is like running because it's just. So he gets in there and he goes and makes good on his connection to the Pikes, where he busted him up in the train thing, and he's like, "You owe me money," and they're like, "Well, we want to pay you money, but we pay these other people money," and he's like, "I'll handle it, don't worry about it," and then he's just gone. Very quick, very easy. And then he gets back, and lo and behold, the biker gang has wiped out his Tusken Raiders. And it's this great cinematic scene where he runs up and he stops, and it just pans out to the whole thing. And just everybody's slaughtered, like the chief, the kids, all of it.
All of them.
And it was I thought that was very good because that's pretty
Yeah.
much where it ends. He like burns the bodies and that's it. It's over. And I thought that was great because it was sort of like, we're not gonna beat this Tusken Raider to death more than it already is, and they stuck a pin in it. And they were like, this part is over. Now we're back to solo Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just the men, but the women and the children too.
Children.
Yeah.
I hate them.
Yeah.
Like when he's putting the little kid's stick into the fire,
Yeah.
like that hurt.
Oh,
me. I was like, man,
That
man.
one was rough.
hit.
That one was
That
rough.
one hit. Because he didn't just throw it in there. He like gingerly places it at the base.
Yeah.
So it burns last. And I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But the only person we didn't see at the camp was the person that trained him. That's the
That's a good
only
point.
person that we did not see. So I feel like they either escaped or had been kidnapped or whatever, like taken hostage.
Because he didn't burn their gaffy stick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because they made a point of showing the chieftain, which he made a connection with him.
Yep.
But they did not show, and the kid, but they did not show the female
The trainer.
Tusken that trained him and everything. So
Yeah.
Interesting thing. I don't know if y'all know this, but in Hollywood, they had this thing about not showing dead children.
yeah.
So that's why you didn't see the body of the child.
Oh,
You just saw
yeah.
his gaffy stick.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's one of the big taboos that you still just don't do. You
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
show dead children. And I just thought it was cool that they stuck with that, even though it's a Tusken Raider child, so it's literally just a swaddle of clothing.
Right.
Yeah. Amy says, I know it was awful. Talking about the men and the women and the children too.
Yeah.
It was definitely big on that. Before we move to the next scene, Amy says,
Well, and I was just go ahead. Sorry.
just real quick, and then supposedly on social media, people are hating the show. Do you think it's worth following, though? I think it is, but I want to know what y'all think about that. Yeah.
I mean, how about this? The Star Wars fan base has always been extremely toxic from what I've seen. So, it's like they hate on it just because it's not Mandalorian. It's like, we want to see Din Djarin show up in the show. It's like, it's not Mandalorian. Like,
Not
you'll
the
get it later this
Mandalorian.
year.
Yeah.
Right. It's called Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
But speaking of that, I did y'all catch the character appearance like in that when he's going to get him? So I was like, okay, so they are laying hints of like, all right, we still care about the Mandalorian universe. We're still letting you know that we recognize this. But are we in agreement though? Because the symbol of the biker gang is who we saw in the episode 1 from the flashback. Are we kind of in agreement when he goes to the Pikes and being like, and they're like, well, you need to settle this between them and the biker gang because we can only pay one. We're under the agreement that the biker gang also came to them and they're like, you got to handle the Tuskens. And like, they pretty much made each other fight, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like the Pikes, like, they got a black eye. And when you give a crime family a black eye, they're going to retaliate. They're not just gonna like, oh, thank you for the black eye, now here's you money. Like, they're not gonna do that. Like, they know where you're at, you're not that big of a force. They're going to hire the biker gang or whatever it is, and they're going to take you out. Like, they're not gonna just play around.
And we see that a little bit in the modern day when we'll get to that in a little bit too, because that's the same. That's why I asked, because we see that play out in this episode in the modern day aspect.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm curious where it goes from there. I'm curious, like, if there are any more flashbacks. I think there will, to like tie up that revenge, and everything.
We'll get flashbacks until he meets Din Djarin in The Mandalorian. Like, that's when it intersects.
Yeah.
Just to sort of put another thing on the whole, I saw someone, I think Screaming in 8 said, I definitely want to finish the series. The director of this episode just does a bad job with the episodes he directs. Maybe, I don't know. I don't follow directors that closely. But as far as like the Star Wars stuff goes, y'all know me, I am biased. And I think you should watch all Star Wars stuff. But at the same time, I do agree with Derek where like the new Star Wars fan base is toxic, is what I think. Some of us old schoolers from back in the day, I mean, not to quote scripture, but there is a small majority, there's more than you think, and we're not as terrible as you think. So I mean, that's a whole nother topic that I could do a whole episode on, so I'm gonna leave it at that. But it's, if you like Star Wars, Watch Star Wars. Who
Right.
cares?
Yeah. And what gets me, like Robert Rodriguez, which is the showrunner and has been the
Yeah.
director for 2 of the episodes so far. He also
Yeah.
directed one of the best episodes of Mandalorian season 2. It was the one where Grogu gets taken. And where Boba Fett like
Ooh.
comes out and like he does all the and like just like
Yeah.
absolutely destroys. And like he is known for action. He is
Yeah.
known for his action, and that brings us into the next scene. And I feel
My favorite scene of the episode.
I'll let you describe it here in a second. I feel like the action that he is capable, Robert Rodriguez is capable of, is not
Mhm.
really captured in this scene. I feel like it's a lot of
Okay.
standing around and waiting. Like
Yeah.
the choreography is really, really lackluster. So, Derek,
Yeah.
I'll let you explain this scene. So, flashback is, you know, he just got there, he's crying,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. Now, what happens?
Yeah, so normally when he wakes up from his thing, gets out of the bacta tank, and he's good. He wakes up, and Black Chrysanthemum, this big Wookiee, bounty hunter bodyguard we saw in the last episode, that I was hoping they would fight. I didn't expect it to be this
Yeah.
early. He Yaga yeets him out of the bacta tank, and it's like, let's go. I'm
Yeah.
about to wreck your whole life. Like, when I saw them like scare off in episode 2, I'm like the doctor from the 2014 Godzilla movie where he's like, let them fight. So yeah, he's fighting, and like, first of all, he's got the biker gang, a couple of droids, Fennec Shand, and 2 Gamorrean guards. How did Black Chrysanthemum just casually walk in there and yeet him out of the bacta tank? Let's just bring that to light.
Everybody
But,
sleeps. Everybody sleeps, man.
No, there's someone patrolling, man. Like, someone had to have
he's
seen
got
him.
like 3 people, and like
and only 2 of them are competent.
Yeah, and like think about Leia
Yes.
like snuck in and was like dethawing Han and all that, and Jabba had like everybody, but yeah, then he was like, oh. But anyway, keep going with the scene. Keep going with the scene.
And then like, and so the Power Rangers comes in, and like he's like, first of all, Black Chrysanthemum's a beast because he just like mows everyone down. Like I texted you this last night, when you asked after you watched the episode. He's like, I've seen him for 2 episodes, and he's already up there with Cad Bane as my favorite non-Sith villain.
Yeah.
In like the extended universe, but like he's got brass knuckles with spikes that are electrified. Like he's super strong. Like he even like he bit Boba, and he even like bit into the neck of one of the Gamorrean guards. I'm like, man, like who's gonna stop him? And it pretty much you had to drop him into the Rancor pit. And even like then he's like hanging on, and then Fennec takes a knife from her rifle and like stabs him in the hand to make him to drop. But it's like,
which he does not pull out. He kept that knife in his hand.
Yeah.
He was just sort of like, and you could see it in the scene. It's in his hand. And I'm like, this dude is like next level, man.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. He's definitely like, well, and then you go to not get too further from the show, but they explained that he was fought in the Gladiator Pit, which explains everything. Like, Gladiator Pit, and then he was a bounty hunter, and it's like, okay, this explains why you're able to body everyone in that room.
Well, and to go a little bit further on Black Chrysanthemum, he actually like has like cybernetics in himself as well. Like his skeleton has metal. He's like pretty much like Wolverine, and like he's has all of these things. Like he's like can punch like a brick, like even on top of being a Wookiee. Like he's like super strong. It also, like, if you've read the Dr. Alpha, like, I'm just being a little nerdy here, like the Dr. Alpha, like Boba Fett and Black Chrysanthemum worked together like way back in the day, but they kind of like just like act like they never did. And I'm like, this is Disney canon here.
Yeah,
this is Disney canon here. So anyway, I feel like going back to the fight, like just like the choreography, like everyone was standing around, like he would have broke Boba Fett's back like that.
Oh, 100%.
You know,
he like, literally almost
like
did.
I thought I heard a crunch, like when he's like bear hugging him. I'm like, guys.
Yeah.
And then Boba kind of goes limp there for a second. And I was like, what?
no, no, no. It's like end of Boba Fett.
It's like, well, all right. Thus ends the Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah. Amy says, seeing a Wookiee like that, crazy, because we've been, exposed to just pretty much Chewbacca, and then episode 3, we've seen all the Wookiees in episode 3, but Black Chrysanthemum is not a normal Wookiee. Like, he literally got kicked off of Kashyyyk. Like, he is like hardcore. No one likes him. Like, he is not a nice
He's
dude.
like the predator of the Wookiees.
And that's saying something. I mean, have you seen how chill the Wookiees are if you don't kick them off? Like, they pretty much can deal with anything.
Yeah.
For them to say, you're exiled, not out of the village, not out of the town, you get off the planet and do not come back. I mean, that's saying something.
Yeah, not even where like you can't stay up in the trees. Like, you've got to go down below, like where all the things will murder you. It's like, no.
Yeah.
Amy's the planet.
And then once you get down there, walk your butt to the nearest spaceport and leave. Like, just get out.
So we get that scene and everything, and then Boba Fett, like, when he like comes in, and this is one of my one gripe here. He comes in his bathrobe, like he's in his he's got his space diaper in his bathrobe, and it's like, dude, why didn't you like put on some armor? Like, there's still a fight. Like, you're gonna come in there just like, I got my bathrobe.
You're not gonna grab any weapons?
Yeah, nothing.
Didn't grab a gun or nothing.
Yeah, it's like, they got it. They got it.
Yeah.
Like, when
this is what I pay them for.
Yeah. But it was cool. Like, he was reaching for like his like wrist rockets, but they were like the whistling birds or whatever. Like that kind of, like, that would have been dope to see happen and everything. Amy says, stop saying space diaper, it makes me laugh. Well,
the space diaper had a purpose. If he hadn't had it on, that whole fight, he would have been naked, and it would have been really awkward.
Real awkward. Real awkward. Well, maybe and
we already had one naked fighter, so
we don't want to see that. So right after that, we see Fennec Shan and Boba at a table, and it's like opulent. Like, there's so many different dishes and all of that, and like, he's like, I've got to respond. And Fennec's like, no, you just
enjoy your food.
Yeah, enjoy your food. You are the head of a family. They will play their hand soon. Like, the twins will play their hand soon.
Which seems kind of counter to what she was literally just saying. She was like, you got to do something. You got to make your mark. And now she's like, just wait.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you know that we don't know? I'm very confused here.
Yeah. So then we see the twins arrive, and they're like,
it's almost like they knew. It's like, well, he didn't come back last night, guys. I guess we better go apologize and make amends.
Like, they know more than what they're letting on. Even what they reveal here, they're like, we're sorry, we're gonna leave. We brought you a present, this Rancor, and then we see Rancor there, which was very weird, and then they give Black Chrysanthemum as a tribute and an apology as well. And tells Boba, it's like, okay, hey, the mayor, by the way, as we leave, the mayor's giving everything to the Pikes. Bye.
And we were misled. So they were again. Seems like the Pikes were trying to get rid of these two problems and let them fight it out, and then it didn't go well this time around.
Yeah. I have so many questions about this little scene. Like, the twins show up again. One, I didn't think they were going to spot for that CGI again. Two, I thought, first of all, like, that whole scene, I was just like, what? And I was like, that's a Rancor, and that's Danny Trejo.
I was just about to say, freaking Danny Trejo of all people.
He really will do anything. He's the Rancor trainer, And then the whole we were misled, so we're gonna get out of your hair stuff. I was like, no. Hutts don't just leave. The only reason the twins are leaving is because a more powerful Hutt told them to. Hutts only listen to Hutts.
Yeah.
So I'm not buying it. I was a little bit shocked where they were like, keep the Wookiee, we don't care. And I was like,
yeah.
But that was your ace. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
that was your
champion. Of course, Boba, And then of course Boba like he's trying to reinvent himself, so he's like, release his bones, and he lets him go, and the Wookiee's like, what?
Seriously?
He's like,
Like-
I will kill you later. Like he's
He's
literally
like, I
See, and in that scene particularly when he's like, let him go, I'm like, you should recruit him. He literally beat your entire squad. You should recruit him to your team.
I think he's coming back. He will be what Boba was for Jabba. He will be his bounty hunter.
Oh, okay.
And I would watch that spin-off show in a heartbeat.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Yeah.
That'd be dope. Amy said, yeah, the Hutts were lackluster in this episode. And I think there is more going on here. They are not just leaving because all the Pikes are so powerful. Yes, I feel like the Hutts have lost power. But guess what? It's like, okay, I could put myself in here and there would be a 3-pronged war going on. Or I withdraw, these two bloody each other, one gets killed completely, and then I come in and third party and take this other group out,
Yeah.
and then it's all mine again.
Because Hutts play the long game.
Yep, they play the long
Yeah.
game. Me and Trey were talking about that last week, so I feel like that is going to be, you know, a part of it. It just felt really lackluster. I agree with Amy there. It was just like, what the crap? Why? Like, it just felt, I don't know. It wasn't executed as well as I thought. You know, like, I remind me at the end of this. I will spin y'all a yarn real quick, and then we'll go from there. What could have been, and then one last one. Nate says somebody pointed out that they are carried on a litter, like the Rancor are carried on a litter, comes over in a hover platform. The litter carriers were like, "What the mess, man! couldn't carry the Hutts on a hover platform. It's more show power for sure."
Oh, it's definitely a power play.
Yeah, and you know, they leave the Rancor and everything, and I was like, this is going to be like Boba's going to get killed by the Rancor. Like, there's going to be something here and everything, and then we see that, you know, whatever the Rancor sees first, it imprints on that person like it's his mother or whatever, and everything, and then it kind of lends to the Rancor Wrangler in episode 6 being so shook up for the Rancor dying and everything, and that, you know, it has a lot more emotions and love and everything. But yeah, that was me and Amy were thinking that the Rancor was literally like, we're going to be the, like, lull him in. Trey of Bearded Book Club.
I have read a lot of Star Wars stuff and done a lot of research. I ain't never heard this whole Rancor's imprint on the first thing they see nonsense.
Yeah.
They might imprint as far as like, ooh, that's what I'm gonna eat first.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, Danny Trejo was like, stand here.
Yeah, I was like,
this. Don't worry, he'll be back. And I'm like, does this not just seem super sketchy to Boba Fett? Like, what? This does not sit right with me at all.
Yeah.
You know?
And that kind of ties into what my one gripe with this scene in particular happened, because it's like, all right, like he's telling us like, oh, people rode him back in the day and whatever, and Boba's like, I want to ride them, and blah blah blah, and he's like treating him like a pet, like he's all like exuberant. And I get he didn't have, growing up with Django, he didn't have a lot of, you know, nice things or good memories that kids normally have. And I get that this show is trying to redeem Boba Fett and trying to get him out of these, you know, like stoic, like, I just want to kill everything ways. But this felt awkward to me. Now, whether it was how Tamora Morrison played it, how it was written, whatever, but it just doesn't feel natural that he's like, all of a sudden, like this giddy school kid, like, oh, a pet, I want to play with it. I want to ride it, mommy. I want to, like, chill, dude. Like, you're a head of a family. You're the daimyo. Like, you can't be this weird dork.
Yeah. I will point this out in Bad Batch, which all three of us has watched, right?
Yes.
There was a Rancor that Omega did ride, and it was like, oh, happy and all of this kind of stuff. But I feel like they are rewriting, like Nate pointed out, it's the new canon. You know, like,
I guess,
like when we, you know, we're in this thing now where it's like, I feel like this will become the thing that, yes, it was a baby Rancor. Yeah, 100%, Amy. This will be the thing that Boba rides in town, and it will be his show of power. It will be the thing. It would be like, oh, that's way cooler than a litter. That's way more like authority than, you know,
a bantha,
or even, you know, like several humans carrying you around on a litter and everything. It's a flippin' Rancor, like, that serves you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I had a deep thought, and I wanted to know what y'all kind of thought about this. Danny Trejo's character, the Rancor Wrangler, even brought up the Night Sisters of Dathomir.
Yes.
Oh yeah, first
Which
time in live action.
Exactly. It's the first time it's come up in live action. We have not heard about the Dathomir witches since Asajj Ventress died, okay?
Yeah.
They have been dead quiet. So the fact that he brought that up and was just doing it, and then I started thinking, I'm like, wait a minute, he's got this weird thing going on. Are they trying to say that Danny Trejo is a remnant of Dathomir?
No, I don't think so. I think
no. How about the?
I mean, I know that's super far fetched, but come on, like you said, new canon and Disney does what it wants.
Well, you got to look at, like, canon is Clone Wars as well, and then Jedi Fallen Order also falls into canon. So there's only one, like, sister of like the witches.
Yeah.
Well, that we know of.
Yeah.
I think if anything, he's dealt with the witches, but I don't think he's a remnant. I think he's just like he's had a lot of dealings on Dathomir. He's probably been there, but I don't think he's like of Dathomir.
I mean, he could just be like, oh, I consider myself Dathomirian because I lived there, I learned their ways, yada yada yada. You know, there ain't no telling. But like I said, I could just be overthinking that. I was just like, he's just, I don't know, something about that character. I was just like, there was a
little bit off on that. But let's keep moving real quick because we're almost at 40 minutes with the show.
Oh yeah.
So we see Boba and the Power Rangers and Fennec Shan and the Gamorrean guards with the thighs of Olympian gods stroll up into the mayor's office because they want some answers.
They're like a baller.
Yeah. And then we see the Major Domo, which I love the comedic timing that the actor has and everything. And he's like, oh, well, he's busy and all of this. And like Fennec Shan was like, yeah, if you don't get us in there, you're not going to live. And I'm like, that's what we need. That's what we need. And then you see the door lock and then it's like, oh crap. He's booking it. And then we get the slowest chase scene.
Most awkward.
Like, I will read the text message that Derek sent me last night that made me laugh like crazy. Said, what I'm talking about this scene. What made it worse? It made it seem like it was fast, but in reality, they look like old people racing those handicap carts you see at Walmart. And then it reminded me of, there's an episode of Seinfeld where George acts like he has a disability and he gets a scooter, and then like he does something to like tick off a bunch of old people, and then they're chasing him in their scooters. That's what this felt like. It felt so
very, very
bad.
Much so.
Yeah. Like it was awful.
It was terrible.
It was so bad. The only redeeming thing was like at the very end when the chase scene ended and he like slammed in there. It was like a tribute to like Back to the Future where like the manure falls into the car and everything. But there was also another nod with to the fruit that fell in there. That was from
Rebels.
Yep, from Rebels.
Yeah, I caught that immediately. I'm like, this is the fruit that Hera likes, right?
Yeah. I can't remember.
Also, did y'all notice that they flew through that one painting that like everybody has a copy of? Of Jabba in his palace, and I was like, it's the painting, and then it was gone.
And that was original painting from the guy that did all the design for Star Wars and everything. So
wow, it was a pretty cool little thing. I was like, and that's all I liked about this scene. It was garbage,
dude. It was. It was bad.
Painful.
It was so bad. It was like I was like trying to like rationalize why it felt so bad. I was like, okay, the streets are really tight. There's a lot of clutter, like all of these things. That's why they're not going fast. No, it was just like
bad.
Like I once did a like drone shoot with like my nephew driving my car, and he could only drive my car like 20 miles an hour. He couldn't like drive it fast, so I just sped it up in post, and like there's a car that passed us and it looks like they're going like 200 miles an hour. Like, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what this felt like. It was like they were trying to do it in post. It was like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
And then after the dude crashes and they get up to him, and then Boba Fett just like jetpacks down and just gets his answers, and I'm like, where the heck were you?
Yeah.
Like, you literally have a homing rocket on your back.
Yeah.
Shoot it.
It would have been so much cooler, like seeing Boba Fett like fly through, going all these crazy places, and then literally just land in the passenger seat, pull his gun, and be like, pull over. You know, like that would have been so much more boss. No, we get the worst scene in all of Star Wars. I'll say it right now. The worst scene of all of Star Wars. Like, I will take Anakin love scenes over this. Any day.
Wow.
Any day.
And those are bad.
Those are awful. Those are awful.
It's so bad. Because then they're like using politics as euphemisms, and you're like, stop, just stop.
Amy said, Zach, take that back. And
all right, well, I want a contest. I want people to throw in what they think is the worst scene of Star Wars, and we'll do an episode where we decide.
Right.
Amy's like, take it back right now. Nope, it's been said. It's been said.
It's out there. He's there.
All right, last scene. Trey, walk us through the last scene that was in the episode.
Oh, okay. Where to begin? I'm still reeling from that terrible chase, guys. Like, you brought it up, and I was like, oh yeah, that was terrible. Okay, so basically the very last little bit is the major domo of the mayor is like, he's gone, he's off world, he's working with the Pikes, I'm scared of you, leave me alone, they're working for the Pikes. He repeats himself like 3 times. I'm like, what kind of lazy acting is that? But anyway, and then it just flashes to a big star freighter comes in, and it opens and people are getting off. And then some Pikes from the Pike Syndicate get off. You know, the spice runners, the drug people of the galaxy. And not just a few, like 24 of them dudes pile out of this starliner, where I was like, that's a lot of dudes. Like, they're all in their full thing and going, and then the little eyeball cyborg dude is like, hey, Teen Titan headquarters, they're here. Yeah.
And then we get this like stilted line. It's like, we'll keep an eye on them. They're like, oh, sorry. And it's like, no, I paid a lot for this.
I like my eye.
It's like
oh, all right.
Who cares?
Weird
Don't
flex,
apologize.
Okay.
He's a grunt. Say what you want. You're the boss.
Exactly. Which again goes back to my thing of like, I don't like when Boba Fett's trying to be like the nice guy. It's like, look, be a crime lord.
Just be a crime lord. Just be a godfather and bust some skulls. Right. I don't care. But that's pretty much the end of it. That's pretty much the end of that scene, because it's just and the cuts to credits, and it gives good indication. But it's kind of like, I stick by what I said at the beginning of the show, that this was a very, very important episode, probably the most important episode we've had so far, but it was very sloppily done. Like, it could have been so much tighter and so much cooler, but it is very important. The information that we needed is starting to piece together, and I think it's going to boil down to it. I mean, we had a lot of gangs of Mos Espa, and now we've got, like, the 2 dudes. Like, we got the Pikes, and we got Boba Fett, and they're about to duke it out. So, hopefully next week is longer and better choreographed.
I feel like, you know, we've crossed the threshold where, like, from now to the end of the show, like, it's going to be like big episodes where they actually like matter, because they've only got like 4 episodes to like cram the rest of the story in. Now that they've established like what story they're actually going to go with, hopefully they don't pivot from it from now on. Amy says, I've not felt like he's a crime boss at all in the show. I feel like he's been kind of just like fledgling like this whole time, and it's like, okay, you've got the Pike Syndicate coming in, and why is the Pike Syndicate flying like, you know, like commercial? you know what I mean? It's like this major, you know, group and everything, but why are they flying on a, you know, freighter? Like they don't have anything there. Amy says he feels more like a weird vigilante. Yeah, that's what it feels like. He's trying to be Batman.
Yeah, maybe that's what they're trying to go for. Like, we were all like, he's going to be a crime lord because it's Boba Fett and it's, it's Tatooine and it's run by crime lords. But he's like, no, I'm going to go the Western route and be the sheriff that cleans up town. And nobody's going to understand it. So maybe that's why we're having such issues with it, because we all remember our dad's Boba Fett and we want that guy. But that's just not, like I said in the very first episode, this ain't your daddy's Boba Fett. It's obviously a different setup, so maybe I just need to rewire my brain, but God, it's not working for me right now. Not this week. Maybe next week it will.
Yeah.
But to this week, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah. Dan says, I think they're trying to sneak in a few people at a time without being detected. Probably so. Probably so. So, out of 5 space diapers, what would you give this episode?
2.5.
2.5 space diapers.
Solid 3, because it's still Star Wars.
A solid 3, man.
Mm-hmm.
I thought a number 2 was solid.
hey, I'm gonna get out of here.
I give it like a 2. Like I give 2 space diapers to this episode. So yeah. There you go. There you
7
go.
space diapers and all.
All right, everybody. There is your episode 3 discussion. Make sure to share this with some Star Wars nerd that you know, and come back next week when you find out, does Boba Fett shave? Because I think he does. I think he shaves. Or did the Sarlacc pit like burn all of his like hair follicles? Because he was baby smooth. I'm gonna say
maybe it's a side effect of spending prolonged time in a bacta tank.
maybe. Well, Derek, Trey, appreciate y'all coming on, guys. Make sure go support us over on patreon.com/nerdcave, and when you go to the Epic Store to get one of your new games, make sure to use creator code NERDCAVE at checkout to give us some money with no extra charge to you. Make Epic's got a lot of money, so make them pay us.
Right.
Make them pay us. All right, guys, this has been Zach,
Derek,
and Trey.
Y'all have a blessed week. Bye.
Peep, peep.